All right, today your lesson is going to be on solving percent problems using proportions. To start out with, I'd like you to do this problem of the day on the back of your note sheet where you got some blank space there. So go ahead and try these on your own, pause the video, and then you can start the video again to check your answers. So go ahead and pause the video right now and try these. All right, take a minute to check these over. I want to just call your attention to letter C there, the ratio of bananas to oranges. So you'd have to take the total pieces of fruit, subtract out the 125 apples, subtract out the 150 oranges, and that's going to equal 150 bananas. So bananas to oranges would be 150 over 150. Which would simplify to 1 to 1. Okay, remember in a ratio you have to have both ones. You need the top one and the bottom one. You can't just have one because you got to have at least two numbers to make the comparison. So check the rest, make sure you got the right answers, and then we'll move on to percents. Just a reminder as you start the video here, again, feel free to pause if you need more time to get some notes down. Feel free to rewind if you didn't quite get something. Again, you have that freedom with the video to do that. So starting with percents here, a percent again means part per 100. Okay, so it just means out of 100. So when you see something like 20%, 20% is the same as 20 to 100, or 20 over 100. Another way to define percent is you take the part over the whole. So the part you're talking about over the whole amount that's there. Okay, maybe it could be like a sports statistic, like he made 15 out of 20 free throws. Okay, that would also be a percent. So now, if we have two equal ratios, we get a proportion. So if we take the percent over 100, that's the same as the part over whole. So there's a proportion we can use to solve percent problems. So looking at this example here, there's 120 seniors at Belmont High. If 20% of the students in the school are seniors, how many students attend Belmont High? Well, there's three parts of this that we have to identify. The 100 is always going to be there. So we already have, of the four parts in the proportion, we know the 100 is going to be on the bottom and one side. So we just got to identify the other three parts. Well, in this one, the percent is 20. That's going to go over the 100. The part is the 120 because the seniors are just part of the high school. They're not the whole high school. And then we don't know the whole. So that's on the bottom there. So as you can see here again, the 20 goes over the 100. The part goes on top. The whole is what we don't know. And so we're just using an X to identify that. And again, that 100 is always going to be there. So now once you have that set up, it's just like we did before. You do your cross multiplication and you divide. So 20 times x is 20x. 100 times 120 is 12,000. You divide by the 20 and you get that there's 600 students in the entire high school. Excuse me. Okay, next one, you want to raise $1,000 for charity. You have raised $550. What percent of the total did you raise? So again, in this one, we're looking for the percent. So that's what we don't know. We need to identify these three parts. We don't know the percent. We know the part is 550 because the whole amount is the 1,000. That's the whole amount we want to raise. So again, I go to my proportion. The percent we don't know, so I'm just going to use an X for that. The part, again, goes on top. That's the 550. And the whole is the 1,000. That goes on the bottom. And again, we just solve it the way we solved other proportions that we've worked with. So 1,000 times X is 1,000X. 100 times 550 is 55,000. So divide by 1,000, 55,000 divided by 1,000 is 55. So that $550 is 55% of the total that we want to raise. So 55% of the 1,000. Okay, practice problems here that we don't know the answer to yet. We'll go ahead and solve them. So Jay earns $2,500 a month. He pays $850 a month to rent an apartment. What percent of Jay's monthly earnings does he pay for rent? So again, identify those three parts: the percent, the part, and the whole. Well, the percent we don't know. Okay, that's what it's asking, is what is the percent? So that's our unknown. That's going to go here. Again, we'll just call that X because we don't know it. The part is the $850 because that's just the part of his monthly earnings. So that's going to go right here on top. And the whole is the $2,500. And again, that's the whole amount that he earns. So we set that up. Now the next thing that we do is we go ahead and solve this. Okay? So 100 times 850, well, that's going to be 85,000. Okay? So we're going to have 85,000 equals the X times 2,500 is 2,500X. Now all I have to do is divide by the 2,500. So I'm going to get X all by itself over here, and 85,000 divided by 2,500 is 34. So to answer our question, 34% of his monthly earnings is paid for rent. So basically what that means is for every $100 he makes, 34 of those dollars are going to pay his rent. Next one here, an apartment building, 45% of the families have pets. If 60 families live in the building, how many families have pets? Okay, so we're going to identify our three parts here. The percent is the 45. The part is what we don't know. That's our question mark. That's what we got to figure out. We do know the whole is 60. Because 60 families live in the building, that's the whole amount of families that live in the building. The number that have pets, that's just the part of them. So, again, fill in what we know here. The 45 has to go over the 100 because that's the percent. The part, again, we don't know what that is. We're just going to call that X. And then the whole is the 60. So now I need to do my cross multiply and divide here. 45 times 60 is going to be 2,700. And 100 times X is 100X. So we just have to divide by the 100 on both sides of the equal sign. So 100X divided by 100 cancels out the hundreds. We're left with X. 2,700 divided by 100 is 27. So of those 60 families, 27 of those families in that apartment building have pets. Last one here, we're talking about a tennis resort. It has 1,200 guests. If 65% of the guests play doubles, how many guests will play doubles? So again, when we set up our proportion, we know we have to have a 100 on the bottom. And it really doesn't matter if your 100 is on the bottom on the left or on the right. What matters is you make sure that the percent goes over the 100. So that 65%, that's got to go over the 100. Okay, now the 1,200 guests, that's the other piece of information we know, and we got to decide, is that the part or the whole? Well, that is the whole, because that's the entire amount of guests that they have. So that has to go on the bottom. That's the whole. The number that play doubles, that's the part. That's what we're trying to figure out. Because not everybody plays doubles at the resort, just part of them do. So now what I need to do is I need to take 65 times 1200. When I take 65 times 1200, I get 78,000. And 100 times x is 100x. So all I need to do here is divide by the 100. So 78,000 divided by 100 is going to be 780. So 780 equals x. That means that 780 guests play doubles. All right, again, if you need to go back and make sure you got something, go back and do that. Or if there's something maybe you need to hear again, you didn't quite understand, feel free to go back and do that. Otherwise, once you're done here, there's a little bit of independent work on your note sheet. You can go ahead and complete that. When you're done with that, go ahead and work on your assignment online.